Welcome to an episode of The Big Splash with Nivi. Today I'm so happy to be interviewing Caitlin Sandeno-Hogan, an American former competitive swimmer, Olympic gold medalist, world champion, and former world record holder. She is currently the general manager of the DC Trident team, which is part of the International Swimming League. She is also the national spokesperson of the Jessie Rees Foundation. Let's dive into this podcast. Hi, Caitlin. How are you?
I'm doing so good. I'm so happy to be with you today.
Yeah, I'm so happy too. I'm so honored and I'm so excited for you to be here.
The honor is all mine, girl.
So I wanted to talk about your book, Golden Glow. It inspired me so much to keep going and fighting. And it talks about your swimming career and how you got through things in and out of the pool and what you do now about the Jessie Rees Foundation. So I want to ask you some questions.
Perfect.
Okay. So when did you start competitively swimming?
Oh man. So I wouldn't say it was competitive, but I was first put into a summer league swim team when I was only 5 years old. I was a huge water baby. I loved to be in the water, even just the bathtub. Like when I was like super, like I think I was 2 years old, my parents couldn't even get me out of the bathtub. That's how much I love the water. So it was just a natural fit for me to join a summer league swim team. And also because I have two older sisters that were already on the team too. So when you're the youngest, you kind of just get like dragged to everything that your siblings are doing. So I started a summer league team, and obviously we're competitive because we race, but it was more just fun and learning the strokes. And then from there, my parents realized I had some natural talent in the water and I really enjoyed it. And I joined a club team.
So when did you get passionate about swimming? Like, how did you get so passionate?
That's a great question. Yeah, you know what I was so passionate about swimming was that I loved to race. Like that's what fired me up. Training is hard and challenging and difficult, and you have to get all that in order to be successful when it comes to race. But I definitely felt like I was a type of swimmer that would never get nervous for like a big competition or racing. So that's why I thrived in that racing environment. Because some people are the opposite, where they just really like to practice. They didn't feel like nervous, and that's where they were comfortable. And when it got to meets, they would get really nervous. But I was the opposite. I was like, here I am at practice, but I'm really excited to be at a meet. So I did all the practices because I wanted to be successful in the meet. And that's what made me so passionate about the sport, is that I love to race.
So what were your best strokes?
So kind of interesting that when I was younger, my best stroke was breaststroke. But then when I finished my career, I was 25. So I swam for 20 years. So when I first started swimming, breaststroke was my best. And when I finished swimming, breaststroke was my worst. So throughout that time of development and just training and my body type changing, I started becoming more specialized in butterfly and freestyle. But I was an IMer, so I had to do it all.
Yeah. What was the most positive thing you learned about losing?
Ooh, I would say, losing is like kind of like how you define it to me. Like, cause like when you listen to the Olympics and stuff, they'll be like, oh, and they just lost. And they're referring to the person that got second. And I was like, that's not losing, that's getting second. So I think it's like all how we define what losing is. To me, like I always wanted to do my personal best. And no matter what place I ended up, if I went my best time, that's a win, even if it's second, even if it's third, even if it's fifth, even if it's ninth, et cetera, et cetera. If I went my fastest time that I have ever done, that's a win, regardless of what place it was.
Yeah, right. I saw one of your races. You were second, but people thought you were first because you were so happy with your time. Yeah,
exactly. And that's what I think we need to celebrate. Like, you should be proud of yourself no matter what place you finish, if that's your best. And that was my best. And it came from, being stuck at a plateau, which meant like I was going the same times forever and never, ever. And I was getting really frustrated. And that specific swim, all I wanted to do was go a best time. And when I saw I win a best time, I was ecstatic and celebrated like I had won. Because to me, that was like my personal win, even though I got second.
Yeah. When you were 17 and you first went to the Olympics, how did you overcome setbacks and doubts?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I would actually say when I was 17, I didn't have a lot of doubts. I was very confident 17-year-old, but I almost feel like I was just very naive. And meaning that I just was kind of like deer in headlights. Like I'd never been there before. I didn't really know what to expect. I was just really excited to be there. I had more doubts after I was trying to overcome injuries when I was like 2021. That's when like kind of like negative mindsets kind of started creeping in because I'd been hurt and sick for so long. And that's when I started doubting myself. So it was kind of interesting. It's like the other way around. Like at a really young age, I was super confident and like locked in and secure. And then because I had a lot of setbacks with injuries and illnesses, 4 years later, I was trying to overcome that self-doubt and give myself confidence that I could be as good as I used to be. And the way that I did that was it's honestly just a lot of positive self-talk, because your body achieves what the mind believes. So if your mind is like, you can't do this, you're going to fail, your body's going to listen to that. But if your mind is saying, yes, exactly. If your brain gets nervous, your body's going to get nervous. And if your brain's telling you you can do it, your body's going to believe that you can do it. So it's all about the positive self-talk.
Mm-hmm. So with the knowledge you have today, what advice would you give to your 17-year-old self?
I love that. I would say just to trust the journey. You know, there was some times in my swimming career where I did lose that trust because of the injuries and the illnesses. And when I lost the trust, I lost the joy. And so everything that you should do in life should ultimately bring you some type of happiness or joy. So you want to enjoy the daily grind. I mean, not every day is going to be wonderful. Not every day is going to be perfect, but it's all part of the journey. And that's what's going to make you stronger in everyday life too. I mean, swimming is just a sport, and being a swimmer was amazing, but that doesn't completely define me and like my characteristics and like how I show up in the world and what I find to be important, like for, you know, personal characteristics. So I feel like you have to be able to enjoy the journey, the highs and the lows.
You are the national spokesperson of the Jessie Rees Foundation. So how could we help the Jessie Rees Foundation? Like me and my friends are in a Girl Scout troop, and
that's amazing. Yes, the Jessie Rees Foundation has been a huge blessing in my life, and it's been incredible to actually try to brighten the days of these children going through some terrible situations. As far as getting involved, there's a lot of different ways on the Jessie Rees Foundation's website or nigu.org, but a very kind of simple way is to try to raise money for them.
So that's all the questions I wanted to ask you. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much.
This is the best podcast I've ever done.
This was my conversation with Caitlin Sandano-Hogan, a former Olympic and world champion. She inspires young swimmers like me to have a positive mindset, put in persistent hard work, and aim to improve our personal best. Hope you all enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Thanks. Until the next time. Bye.